Hey Steelers Nation! Before we dive into today's exclusive story, let me just say this. Our Pittsburgh Steelers are constantly working to improve, grinding every single day to bring those good results we all know this team is capable of. We've hit a few bumps recently, but that's all part of the journey. So if you believe in this team as much as we do, smash that like button to show your support, and if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to stay in the loop with all things Steelers. Now, let's break this down. This week, one of the hottest topics coming out of our Christmas Day loss to the Kansas City Chiefs was about none other than George Pickens. Steelers fans know Pickens is a playmaker, but he's also no stranger to stirring up conversation. During the game, Pickens had a decent performance with a few solid plays, but he also made a few costly mistakes, like giving up on a route that led to an interception. That wasn't the main headline, though. After the game, cameras caught Pickens shaking hands with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce in what many are calling an interesting moment. Not only did he interrupt a live interview on TV to dap up the Chiefs' stars, but some believe this handshake might have had a hidden message behind it. NFL insider Mike Florio even speculated on his show, saying Pickens might have been sending a come-get-me signal to Mahomes and the Chiefs. Is this really a case of Pickens wanting out of Pittsburgh, or was it simply a sign of good sportsmanship? Let's not forget Pickens has had some heated moments this season, including fights after losses. Maybe this was his way of channeling that frustration more constructively. Steelers Nation, what do you think? Was this just a respectful gesture to two future Hall of Famers, or do you think Pickens is eyeing greener pastures, possibly in Kansas City? Drop your thoughts in the comments because we want to hear from you. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, our performance against the Chiefs. Losing 29-10 at home on Christmas Day is a tough pill to swallow. This marked our third straight loss after falling to the Eagles and Ravens, and it's clear the team has hit a rough patch. Our defense, which has been a cornerstone of Steelers football, looked out of sync. No sacks, no turnovers, zero impact plays. Early in the game, there were opportunities, like a tipped Mahomes pass and a muffed punt, but we just couldn't capitalize. T.J. Watt, one of our captains and defensive leaders, didn't hold back post-game. His words were simple yet powerful. We need to work more. Look at ourselves in the mirror and get back to work. And he's right. Watt himself hasn't looked like his usual dominant self since his ankle injury against the Eagles, and the defense as a whole has struggled to find consistency. Safety. Deshaun Elliott echoed Watt's sentiments, calling out the defense for making mistakes that should have been corrected earlier in the season. With only one regular season game left, the clock is ticking for this unit to find its identity before the playoffs. Steelers fans, how confident are you in this defense turning it around? Can Watt and the rest of the squad rally together in time, or is this season slipping away? Let us know what you think. Remember when we were 10-3 and sitting comfortably atop the AFC North? It feels like a lifetime ago. After 3 straight losses, the division is now the Ravens to lose. If Baltimore wins their final 2 games, they'll clinch the AFC North title. That means we'll likely have to settle for a wild card spot if we can hold on. It's frustrating because earlier in the season, we were firing on all cylinders. Offense, defense, and special teams were all clicking. Now, nothing seems to be working. Even Coach Mike Tomlin seems unsure about how to fix things, especially on defense. After Travis Kelce shredded us for 84 yards and a touchdown, Tomlin admitted the team struggled to adjust to Kansas City's zone-beating schemes. Knowing Kelce's reputation, it's baffling that we didn't make the necessary changes during the game. The question is, can Tomlin and the coaching staff right the ship before it's too late? History tells us not to count out a Tomlin-led team, but the challenges are piling up. What do you think, Steelers Nation? Can this team bounce back and make a deep playoff run, or are we heading for an early exit? Share your thoughts below. Getting back to George Pickens, there's no denying his talent. He's been one of the bright spots on an otherwise inconsistent offense. But as Florio pointed out, Pickens might be frustrated with the Steelers' lack of a high-powered passing attack. Could you blame him for dreaming about playing with a quarterback like Mahomes in Kansas City's dynamic offense? That said, Let's not forget what Pittsburgh does best. We develop receivers like no other team. From Antonio Brown to Juju Smith-Schuster, the Steelers have a track record of turning talented but problematic receivers into stars. However, many of them have struggled to replicate that success after leaving. Could the same fate await Pickens if he decides to move on? Steelers fans, here's a question for you. If you were in Pickens' shoes, would you want to stay and build something special in Pittsburgh, or would you look for an offense that prioritizes the passing game? And on the flip side, should the Steelers consider trading Pickens now to avoid potential drama down the road? Let's discuss in the comments. 3 straight losses. That's not something we're used to seeing from a Steelers team. Over the last 3 weeks, the Steelers have fallen to the Eagles, Ravens, and Chiefs, and the losses haven't been pretty. The issues run deep, from coaching decisions to player execution, and even the culture in the locker room has come into question. For starters, Mike Tomlin, a coach known for his never-say-die attitude, seems to have lost the edge that once defined his teams. Players have openly criticized each other. Hall of Famers are questioning the effort and focus of the current roster, and even Tomlin himself admitted that changes need to happen. But with only 1 game left in the regular season, how much can realistically change before the playoffs? Steelers Nation, here's the first big question. Do you still believe in Mike Tomlin's ability to lead this team back to glory? Or do you think it's time for the Steelers to start considering a different direction? Let us know in the comments. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, our quarterback situation. Russell Wilson was brought in to stabilize the offense, and for a while, it looked like a solid move. His experience and leadership were supposed to be the foundation of this team's success. But over the past few weeks, Wilson has looked more like a liability than an asset. His performances have been uninspiring, with costly mistakes and an inability to execute in critical moments. And let's be honest, his floor right now doesn't seem much higher than that of his backup, Justin Fields. Fields, on the other hand, is 10 years younger and offers a level of athleticism and upside that Wilson simply can't match at this stage of his career. So here's the big question. Should the Steelers make a quarterback change heading into their final regular season game and potentially the playoffs? It's a risky move, but one that could inject some much-needed energy into the offense. Steelers Nation, if you were in charge, would you stick with the veteran or roll the dice on the younger, more dynamic option? Do you think Fields has what it takes to lead this team in the postseason? Let's hear your thoughts. Despite the recent struggles, the Steelers are still in the playoff picture. Depending on how things shake out, they could face an easier opponent in the wild card round. On paper, this sounds like a favorable scenario, especially if the team makes the necessary adjustments before the postseason. But here's the thing. Does one playoff win against a weaker opponent really make this season a success? This is the Pittsburgh Steelers we're talking about, a franchise built on winning Super Bowls, not just playoff games. For many fans, anything less than a deep postseason run feels like a letdown. At the same time, a win in the wild card round could be a stepping stone for this team, especially if they're able to regain their confidence and momentum. But it all hinges on whether or not the coaching staff and players can address the glaring issues that have plagued them during this losing streak. Steelers Nation, what do you think? Would a wild card win be enough to call this season a success, or do you expect more from this team? And what adjustments do you think are most critical heading into the postseason? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. Looking beyond this season, the Steelers have some tough decisions to make. The quarterback situation is just the tip of the iceberg. The coaching staff needs to take a hard look at their approach, particularly on offense, where the play calling has often felt conservative and predictable. The defense, once a dominant force, has shown cracks, and the secondary has struggled against elite passing attacks. But here's the thing. This franchise has faced adversity before and come out stronger. Remember, this is the same organization that rebuilt itself after the Killer Bees era and found a way to remain competitive. The pieces are there. A talented roster, a passionate fan base, and a front office that knows how to build for the future. The question is, Can the Steelers make the necessary adjustments to not just salvage this season, but set themselves up for long-term success? And how patient are you as fans, willing to be during this process? Steelers Nation, we're at a crossroads. George Pickens' future is up in the air. The defense needs a wake-up call, and our playoff hopes are hanging by a thread. But here's the thing. This team has faced adversity before, and we've come out stronger. Now it's time to see if the 2024 Steelers can rise to the occasion. Before you go, let us know your thoughts on everything we've discussed today. Do you believe in George Pickens as the future of this franchise? Can the defense fix their issues in time for the playoffs? And most importantly, what do you think it will take for the Steelers to bring home that 7th Lombardi trophy? If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more exclusive Steelers content. Your support means everything to us, and we can't wait to see what the future holds for this team. Until next time, stay strong. Steelers Nation.